At 5 a.m. local time, the sea is motionless. No whitecaps, no swell, only a sheet of steel-gray water stretching all the way to the horizon. Inside the Combat Information Center, the first alert does not sound dramatic. It is routine, a soft tone. One new track appears on the screen, then another, then 4 more in quick succession. 6 surface contacts emerge almost at once. Their bearings are spread wide. Their speeds are uneven, then rising. Multiple new surface tracks. Range, 28 nautical miles. There is no visible reaction on the bridge. No raised voices. None are needed. Everyone on watch understands what it means when 6 contacts appear in that pattern. The radar operator narrows the scale. What were moments ago just blips begin to sharpen into clear returns. Military-sized hull signatures. Not merchant traffic, not fishing vessels. Condition 3. The words move through the ship calmly but with unmistakable weight. Weapons crews adjust their stance. Hatches are checked. Systems begin to wake up. Not fully armed, not yet, but fully alert. On the bridge, the carrier stays on course. 22 knots, straight line, no deviation. CPA calculations continue to update. The closest point of approach shrinks slowly at first, then faster. The 6 contacts accelerate. 20 knots, 24. One climbs past 26. They are not drifting. They are maneuvering. The tracks begin to form a loose arc. On the tactical display, the geometry is unmistakable. 2 contacts angle toward the port quarter. 2 more spread forward. The last pair hangs back, offset, observing. A ring, still wide but steadily closing. Long-range optics come online. Electro-optical sensors swing across the water. The zoom tightens. Heat signatures rise against the cold surface. Gray hulls, sharp bows, low silhouettes, warships. The captain steps closer to the bridge windows. He says nothing. He does not have to. The data is already telling the story. Recommend initial bridge-to-bridge hail. The order is given. The transmission goes out over open maritime frequencies, calm, professional, and controlled. No response. The contacts continue closing. 20 nautical miles. 19. One ship alters course by 3 degrees. Small, deliberate, precise. The arc tightens. Inside CIC, the track supervisor marks the change. Timestamped. Logged. Contact Alpha adjusting for intercept geometry. The carrier answers with no movement at all. No change in speed, no turn. The flight deck remains still. Aircraft stay secured, wings folded, as though nothing unusual is happening. That is the message. Confirm profiles. The analyst responds without hesitation. Mast configuration, radar layout, hull proportions, everything matches. 6 Russian surface combatants. The confirmation brings no visible reaction. Nationality does not change procedure. Intent does. And intent is becoming harder to misread. At 15 nautical miles, separation is no longer an abstract number. At this range, every course correction matters. Every misstep can become an incident. The forward 5-inch gun rotates a few degrees, almost too subtle to notice, but visible to anyone watching through optics. Enough to send a signal without a single shot being fired. Electronic support measures begin listening more closely. The ship is not transmitting. It is receiving, collecting, cataloging every emission, every sweep, every trace of radar energy. The Russian ships are active now, searching, measuring, painting the carrier. CPA drops below 4 nautical miles and continues falling. The ring tightens again. One ship edges slightly ahead of the others, probing the space. Another falls back, holding position like a reserve element. This is not disorder. It is deliberate movement. The carrier remains at the center of it all. Massive, steady, silent. On the bridge, a junior officer glances at the captain. The captain does not look away from the water ahead, from the invisible lines closing around his ship. No one reaches for a microphone. No one raises a voice. Outside, the sea is still calm. Sunlight glints off steel. To an untrained eye, it might look as if nothing is happening at all. But inside the ship, every system is tracking the same reality. 6 Russian warships are closing on a U.S. aircraft carrier, and the distance between them is shrinking by the second. At 5:26 a.m. local time, the range falls below 12 nautical miles. At that distance, the ocean is no longer open space. It becomes geometry. Angles matter. Speed matters. Intent begins to show itself. Inside the Combat Information Center, the surface picture tightens further. The 6 tracks are no longer forming a loose arc. This is no coincidence. They are shaping the battle space. Contacts coordinating course changes. The tactical display refreshes in real time. 2 Russian ships drift wider to port, creating lateral pressure. Another pair angles in from starboard, their wakes sharp and bright against the dark sea. The final 2 remain astern, offset, controlling the open lanes behind. It is a textbook surface encirclement, not overt enough to justify immediate weapons release, close enough to remove any doubt. CPA now 3.2 nautical miles. The carrier holds 22 knots, course steady. The flight deck remains secured. No aircraft launch, no deck alarms. From the outside, the ship appears indifferent. Inside, nothing is overlooked. Long-range cameras lock onto individual hull numbers. Radar operators isolate emissions. Electronic warfare teams begin building signal fingerprints, pulse rates, power levels, sweep intervals. Every extra second the Russian ships remain close, they reveal more than they gather. Bridge-to-bridge hail. Second attempt. The transmission goes out again. Clear, professional, standard maritime phrasing, silence, no acknowledgement, no course correction. The answer comes in movement instead. One ship off the carrier's port bow increases speed to 27 knots. It edges across the carrier's projected path, compressing the space ahead. Another mirrors the move from starboard, not crossing, but closing. Pressure, not chaos. Calculated, not careless. On the bridge, the officer of the deck watches the bearing lines converge. Recommend show of presence. The captain gives a single nod. No weapons crews rush into view. No missiles are exposed. Instead, the ship shifts posture. Sensors sharpen. Recording protocols activate across multiple channels. This is how presence is shown without firing a shot. The 5-inch gun adjusts again, only slightly. Slow, mechanical, unmistakable to anyone watching through binoculars. The Russian ships hold their positions. CPA, 2.5 nautical miles. At this range, even hull wakes begin to matter. Minor course changes can create dangerous turbulence. The risk is no longer theoretical. Still, the carrier does not turn. That choice is not about defiance, it is about clarity. If a carrier were to change course under pressure, that move would be noticed instantly, recorded, analyzed, and replayed again and again. So the carrier holds steady. From above, the pattern would look intentional. 6 gray arrows angled inward, surrounding one massive shape, cutting a perfectly straight line through them. A tightening ring. Contact Delta, altering heading 5 degrees inward. That's when the tension shifts. Delta's move isn't dramatic, it's precise. Carefully calculated to bring the closest point of approach below 2 nautical miles, if the carrier stays on course. And it does. Inside CIC, the track supervisor immediately flags the maneuver. Red outline. Priority attention, the closest approach so far. Electronic sensors flood with new data. Russian radars change modes, narrower beams, sharper focus. They're no longer just aware of the carrier, they're studying it, and the carrier is studying them right back. Every emission is captured, stored, time-stamped. The Russian ships may think they're tightening the space, but in reality, they're expanding the data record. CPA drops to 1.9 nautical miles, and still trending lower. On the bridge, silence holds for a few seconds. Then the captain speaks. Maintain course. 2 words. Calm. Final. No explanation needed. The Russian ships keep their positions. The ring is no longer wide enough to ignore. It's tight enough that anyone on deck can now see steel on the horizon. Warships moving in controlled alignment. This isn't random. This is pressure applied at sea. No weapons are raised, no alarms sound. But every system aboard the carrier is now fully awake, tracking 6 warships closing in and 1 still pressing closer. At 5:34 local time, nothing changes in speed. 22 knots, steady, intentional. From the outside, it may look passive. Inside the network, it's anything but. The surface picture is no longer limited to a single ship. Data flows across the entire strike group in real time. Escorts, airborne sensors, external feeds, merged into one precise, unified model. 6 Russian warships. Every bearing, every turn rate, every acceleration logged down to the second. This is no longer about distance, it's about awareness. Inside the Combat Information Center, the display gains depth. Not just symbols on a screen, but layered certainty. Predicted paths stretch ahead of each contact. Intercept calculations appear and vanish as systems update in silence. No one needs to call them out. Contacts maintaining encirclement geometry. The Russian ships continue their pattern, tightening and easing the ring in subtle cycles. Pressure on, pressure off. Testing for a reaction. They get none. The carrier's escorts remain just outside the immediate formation, far enough to stay out of the choreography, close enough to respond instantly. Their sensors are active, controlled. Their weapons stay secured. This isn't hesitation. It's restraint by design. Above the formation, unseen from the surface, the air picture fills in. Surveillance assets track movement from angles the Russian ships can't account for. From altitude, the geometry becomes even clearer. This isn't a trap, it's exposure. Russian emissions shifting frequency bands. Electronic warfare specialists lean closer, not concerned but focused. Every adjustment reveals something: habits, preferences, limitations. Each radar sweep leaves behind a signature, and signatures can be studied. On the bridge, sunlight reflects off the water as the carrier's bow cuts cleanly through the sea. Sailors move with precision, not urgency. Helm steady, course unchanged. The message stays consistent. We are not reacting. We are observing. CPA holds between 1.8 and 2 nautical miles. The closest Russian ship stays just outside the most critical zone, close enough to be clearly seen, far enough not to cross a boundary. They know that boundary exists, and the carrier knows they know. This is where control becomes visible, not through force, but through discipline. The Russian ships push their sensors harder, narrower scans, more focused sweeps. They lean in electronically, trying to read the carrier's posture. What they don't realize is that nothing essential is hidden. Everything they're trying to measure has already been measured many times over. What matters now is what they're revealing. Inside CIC, a junior analyst flags a pattern, repeating sweep intervals with slight timing drift between two ships. Coordinated, but not perfectly. Logged. Another operator notes a delay between maneuver commands and execution on one hull. Older systems. Logged. No one says it out loud. They don't need to. The system remembers everything. On the bridge, the captain watches through polarized glass. 6 gray ships, now evenly spaced, holding their formation. They want a response, a turn, a speed change, any sign of adjustment. They get none. Contact Bravo, reducing speed. That's new. Bravo drops from 25 knots to 22, matching the carrier exactly. Not aggressive, not defensive, observing, mirroring. The ring shifts again to accommodate the change. The carrier remains steady. Silence stretches. The ocean is calm, but the balance is tight now. Every ship is within visual range. Every sailor can see hull lines, deck structures, movement on board. Flags are visible. So are cameras. They're recording too. That's expected. What they don't see is the difference in perspective. From their view, a carrier sits surrounded. From the carrier's view, 6 ships are fully mapped, fully measured, fully understood. This is the moment when pressure stops building and starts testing resolve. And one ship is about to push that test further. At 5:41 local time, the balance shifts. Contact Delta altering course, aggressive vector. Delta turns inward. Not wide, not for display. A precise move designed to compress space directly ahead of the carrier's bow. CPA drops quickly. 2.1 nautical miles, 2.0, 1.7. That number matters. At this distance, wakes interact. Water displacement becomes a factor. Assumptions become risk. On the bridge, the officer of the deck stays composed. Mark Delta priority track. Inside CIC, Delta's symbol turns solid red. Sensors immediately retask. Cameras lock in. Range gates tighten. Delta accelerates again. 28 knots. Its bow wake sharpens. White water breaking as it pushes forward. This is no longer mirroring. This is a probe. The carrier does not turn. The captain stands still, hands resting lightly on the chart table, eyes fixed ahead. No order to maneuver, no escalation. The decision is intentional. If the carrier turns now, the entire situation changes, so it doesn't. Recommend airborne presence. The request moves through the chain smoothly. Approved. On the flight deck, a Seahawk crew is already in motion. No alarms, no rush, just precise, practiced action. Blades unfold. Systems power up. From Delta's bridge, the helicopter is impossible to ignore. It lifts smoothly from the carrier's deck and moves low over the water, nose pointed straight toward the approaching ship. Not fast, not aggressive, just present, and impossible to dismiss. The Seahawk settles at roughly 200 feet, offset off Delta's port side. Cameras begin rolling. Sensors lock in. Every detail is captured. Deck layout, crew positions, antenna arrays. The helicopter doesn't cross the bow. It doesn't need to. A green laser flashes once, steady, precise, marking the bridge windows. Non-lethal, controlled, clear. The radio call follows immediately, calm and measured. Russian naval vessel, this is a United States Navy aircraft. You are conducting unsafe maneuvers in international waters. Alter course immediately. The message repeats, delivered again in Russian accented English. For 5 seconds, Delta holds its course. Then the change comes. The bow wake shortens. Speed drops from 28 knots to 24. The closest point of approach stabilizes. Inside CIC, the update appears instantly. Delta reducing speed, CPA holding at 1.6 nautical miles. The formation begins to shift. 2 Russian ships ease outward, opening space that had been closing just moments before. Another drops back slightly, creating more separation astern. The geometry loosens. Not all at once, but enough to see the pressure easing. The Seahawk holds position, steady and silent. Its presence is unmistakable. Cameras continue recording. Sensors continue listening. This isn't about intimidation, it's about documentation. Then, at last, a response from Delta's bridge. Short, controlled, formal. United States naval vessel, we are conducting routine operations. We request safe separation. The captain listens. He doesn't reply immediately. Then the answer is sent. Firm, neutral. You are operating in international waters. Your maneuvers are being recorded. Nothing more. The Seahawk begins to peel away, climbing slightly, clearing the ship's airspace, its cameras never disengaging. Delta adjusts course by 4 degrees, a small move but decisive. CPA increases, 1.8 nautical miles, 2.2. The ring continues to unravel. Ships that were pressing inward now drift outward, quietly reclaiming distance. No sudden turns, no signals of retreat, just space returning to the water. On the bridge, the captain exhales once. Not relief, resolution. The carrier stays on course, speed unchanged, flight deck still. The line was approached, then redrawn. The Russian ships now hold at safer distances. Their formation is no longer tight, no longer pressing. The critical moment has passed, and the outcome is clear, without a single shot fired. At 5:44 local time, the water begins to open again. What was once compressed geometry relaxes back into distance. Bearings widen, CPA numbers climb. The ring dissolves, not through force, but through restraint. One ship turns outward first, 5 degrees, speed steady, no announcement. Another follows, then a third. The remaining vessels hold briefly as if confirming the shift before easing away in sequence. The choreography reverses, quiet, controlled, deliberate. No signal of withdrawal is made, none is needed. Inside CIC, the surface picture stabilizes. Red priority markers fade back to standard tracking. Predicted paths now stretch away from the carrier instead of toward it. Contacts increasing range. The captain gives a small nod. The Seahawk returns to the deck, landing with the same calm precision it launched with. Blades fold, systems power down. Recording continues until the aircraft is fully secured. Inside CIC, the logging never stops. Timestamps, course changes, speed reductions. Every second preserved. This is the part no one sees. Not the tightening ring. Not the laser on the bridge. Not the moment when distance stopped closing. The record, every maneuver, every signal, every hesitation. This is where the outcome truly exists. On the bridge, the carrier never changed course. 22 knots, start to finish. No turns, no speed adjustments. From the outside, it might seem uneventful. From the inside, it's decisive. The Russian ships now maintain distance. Still visible, still tracking, but no longer pressing. Their formation has shifted to observation. The pressure is gone. There's no announcement, no celebration, no visible release of tension. That's not how this works. The carrier continues forward, cutting clean water through an opening horizon. Sailors return to routine. Watches rotate. Coffee cups reappear beside consoles that never dimmed. For the crew, this wasn't a confrontation. It was a process, a test of discipline, a demonstration of control. Inside the network, analysts begin their work, comparing logs, aligning timelines, matching signals to known profiles, confirming what was already suspected. 6 warships closed in, one pushed too far, then it didn't. That distinction matters. Because at sea, escalation isn't defined by force used. It's defined by decisions made under pressure. The Russian ships chose distance. The carrier chose consistency. No one crossed the final boundary. That's the point. As the range continues to grow, the surface picture simplifies. 6 contacts fade into background tracks. Priority shifts back to routine operations. The incident doesn't end with noise, it ends with space, and that's how it will be recorded. Time, location, participants, actions taken, no commentary, no conclusions, just facts. A U.S. aircraft carrier maintained course in international waters. 6 Russian warships approached. 1 tested the boundary held. The sea returns to stillness. Flat water, clear horizon. Steel moving forward without resistance. And somewhere in the logs, the moment remains, unchanged. Proof that control at sea doesn't belong to the loudest signal or the closest ship. It belongs to the one that never needed to move.